Renee, the key real quick.
Yes, we're live.
Today is February 18th, 2025. The Lawrence Board of Zoning Appeals is called to order at this time. Tonight, we need to elect a president and a vice president, so we'll start with the nominations for president. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate you, Becky.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other nominations? That being said, nominations are closed by unanimous. Yes, I'll accept the presidency. Now we need a vice president.
We still have to vote.
We still do?
Nominate
Wait a
Eugene
minute.
West.
You still have to vote.
Oh,
Okay. Renee says we do have to vote. So those all in favor of electing me as president signify by saying aye.
aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, we can't hear you back here. Are you speaking to all of us?
No, the board is electing,
Oh, okay,
is electing our,
that's fine.
okay. I'll take nominations for vice president.
I'll nominate Eugene West.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll take a vote. Oh, was that good enough?
No, you need to vote.
We all need to vote.
Yes.
All those in favor of Eugene being vice signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Congratulations, Eugene.
Thank you. I accept.
I'd like to welcome everybody back. Right this time, I need a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes from December 17th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I'll make a motion.
Oh,
I have a correction, I believe, and I'm not sure that under remonstrators for 24 LUV 09, I believe the mayor came, and I don't know if you would call her a remonstrator, but she spoke in favor of the petition.
I can add that.
I think it should be added for the record.
Yes, sir. I will have those at your next meeting for your approval.
okay, so we won't vote on these
Yeah.
tonight, right?
Correct.
Okay. If you have not done so, please sign in at the back of the room. And anyone wishing to speak tonight, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Answer with I do. Thank you. Do we have any special... Do we have any special requests tonight, continuance, withdrawals, or waivers?
Yes, ma'am. We have a petition that will need to be continued. Notice did not go out in time. Petition 25 LAP 01 7140 East 46th Street will be continued with notice to the March 18th hearing.
Okay, doesn't need to be a vote or anything on
No,
that, right?
no vote or anything. She didn't get notice out, so we can't hear it tonight.
Okay. Are there any other continuance, withdrawals, or waivers? Then we'll start with the old business, 24 LAP 08 8935 East 46th Street, partial 4003610, City of Lawrence, LCD number 2, Zone D3, Chosen Lawrence Manor LLC, doing business as Hickory Treatment. Lawrence is requesting an affirmation of administrative determination that a specialty type substance use disorder residential addiction treatment facility is similar to a nursing home. Okay, so we start with the petitioner. Correct?
Yeah, start with the
We
petition.
start with the petitioner at this time. The secretary will go over the rules. You got it.
So the rules are the petitioner has 10 minutes. Remonstrators, those for or against the petition, will have 10 minutes combined. The City of Lawrence will give a position. The petitioner can rebuttal for 5 minutes. Remonstrators can rebuttal for 5 minutes, and then we'll vote.
If I could ask the question,
If the total time for anyone who wants to testify on behalf of the remonstrators is 10 minutes,
Correct.
were the remonstrators informed of that in advance so that they could then parcel out the time because they have more people that are going to be able to speak within 10 minutes? Or do
It
they
is
want a
part of the-
timer?
There is a timer. We have a timer up here.
And
But
so
it is-
but do you time it out for individual? I mean, you say, okay, you get 1 minute or whatever?
No, they'll have to decide that between them on who's going to come up and speak in remonstrance.
Remonstrators,
against.
can we ask if they have had that opportunity to do that?
You can ask whatever you want, ma'am.
Are the remonstrators, have you had an opportunity to decide, I mean, you have 10 minutes. That means everybody who stood up and says they want to speak, there's 10-minute limitation for all of you. So are you aware and you know how you want to do it? Okay, great.
The petitioner also gets 10 minutes.
Yes,
so-
but
okay.
I'm sure esteemed council knows that quite well, so.
Okay.
I will try to speak up. Had a little cold over the weekend. I'm a little bit dry in the throat, so I beg your pardon in advance here. My name is Kevin Buckheit, and I'm a land use planner with the law firm Krieg DeVault at their Carmel office. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant for this kind of an unusual situation that the board finds itself in. Administrative appeal consideration is something that you are authorized to do by the state code, but they happen rarely. So under Indiana Code 3674918.1, you are authorized to hear this matter before you tonight. And the application is to consider a land use administrative determination that was made by the city of Indianapolis in 2020, and we're asking you to affirm that decision that they provided to us regarding land use. But I'll come back to that shortly. I've handed out a booklet for you that I'll be walking through tonight. I do have a couple of extra copies if there are any in the audience who would like a copy. Sure. Okay. Anyone else? Sure. All right. Under tab 1, it's just a map to help orient everyone to the site. We are just west of Post and East 46th Street, about 500 feet west. I've tried to highlight the general land uses in the area to demonstrate that it's really a very mixed-use neighborhood, and I didn't go beyond this because it would have been a pretty cluttered map. The parcels that don't have any color applied to them are, to the best of my knowledge, single-family residential, and I'd made no determination whether owner or renter occupied because I don't think that part matters. The site in question is outlined in yellow box. And on that map, the red is commercial, the orange is multifamily, the blue are places of worship, and then everything that's not colored is the single-family residential. Under tab 2, this is just a history of the site itself based from the City of Indianapolis GIS archive of aerial photographs. In 1966, it appears that the site was vacant or possibly a single-family home at that time. By 1972, the facility had been constructed and we believe had benefited from a land use variance at that time or prior to that time. By 1979, they had added on to the back of the building. And then the last page under tab 2 is the current 2024 land use aerial photograph showing the site as it's been approved. So under tab 3, the top half of that is the exact section from the Indiana State Code that authorizes you to conduct this business for us tonight. And the second half of the page is an excerpt from the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance that allows you to allows the administrator to consider a land use that is not specifically listed in the table, the characteristics of that land use, and compare it to other uses that are listed, and make a determination of whether they are similar enough that they would be treated the same under the ordinance. Under tab 4, this use is by the City of Indianapolis determination, same as a nursing home. And the nursing home as defined by the ordinance is listed there on that page under tab 4. Licensed facilities primarily engaged in providing shelter, food, and intermediate or long-term nursing or health care for individuals that may include assisted living facilities, but not hospitals, clinics, or similar institutions devoted primarily to diagnosis and treatment of the sick or injured. This definition also includes convalescent care. The ordinance doesn't go on to define convalescent care, so I had to go and search for a definition of general understanding in the world, and that is presented to you on the bottom half of that page. Convalescent care is a short-term residential facility that offers highly specialized care and rehab services for people recovering from illnesses to help them fully recover, leave the facility, and lead independent lives. I've included a sheet from the zoning ordinance that shows the definition for nursing home. Turn the page and it will tell you what this facility is not. It is not a defined substance abuse treatment facility, one that whose primary function is to administer, dispense, schedule to control substances to a narcotic addict for maintenance or detoxification treatment. We are not that by definition. We are also not a methadone clinic or a treatment facility as defined by the ordinance. And that is a facility engaged in dispensing methadone for the purpose of elimination or reduction of opiate use by drug addicts and abusers. Again, we are not that. We are also not a drug rehab because that term is not defined by the ordinance. And then I gave you, again, sheets from the definition section of the zoning ordinance that show you those definitions under the code. Under tab 5, we have the administrative determination letter from the City of Indianapolis dated January 16, 2020. It is their analysis and their determination at that time that the use that is in operation is the same for the purposes of the ordinance as a nursing home. From the letter, I've just blown out the determination point here on the right-hand side there. The Department of Metropolitan Development has reviewed the ordinance and applicable use-specific criteria for nursing homes and determined that the proposed facility aligns with the intent of the ordinance. The use-specific standards for the nursing home are on the next page. Nursing homes shall be licensed by the state and the county. We are. Nursing homes and dwelling districts shall be designed to be residential in character. I believe that this building predates this regulation, but over the last 50 years of its existence, it has been taken to be a compatible part of the neighborhood. Nursing homes shall be designed with appropriate access and maneuverability for emergency vehicles. The site is. Under Ordinance 733, Chapter 733, Article 2, Section 6 and 10, lists the criteria to help the staff determine what the similarity between this use and nursing home. And there were 4 areas: size, scale, operating characteristics, and external impacts. We've provided the analysis there for you. The size of the building has not changed since the late 1979 area. The scale of the operations couldn't grow because the building itself has finite space and couldn't accommodate more clients or patients. The operating characteristics remain unchanged. It's still a short-term residential facility, offers highly specialized care and rehab services for people recovering from illnesses to help them fully recover, leave the facility, and lead independent lives. The external impacts are actually a little bit less with the proposed use because clients in treatment program are not allowed visitors, so there's no daily visitor traffic in and out. Under tab 6, and I apologize, those pages got turned back and forth there. Starting on the right-hand side, a little bit about the treatment. Entering the treatment program is voluntary. The people who are there want to be there. There is a strict admittance protocol that has to be followed. No one walks in off the street. Admissions are handled at a remote facility, and then the client is delivered to the facility either by Hickory or someone arranged by Hickory. No one drives themselves to or from the location. The program is an approximately 21 to 20-day program. It's a comprehensive residential treatment program to treat the whole person. It includes individual and group therapy, medical care, medicine management, and again, whole person treatment as a catalyst towards sustained recovery and effective relapse prevention. As I mentioned, there are no visitor privileges during the program. Once they complete the program, there is strict discharge and release protocol that must be followed. No one is released out of the door into the neighborhood or to the community. The discharge protocol ensures that every discharged client has a safe place to go to in order to continue their recovery efforts in a supportive setting. The program is voluntary, but the clients cannot just quit the program. When they give an indication that they might want to quit the program, they are provided with additional counseling to reinforce the value of the program in their recovery journey. If they ultimately decide to exit the program, they will still be required to follow the exit protocol. Under tab 7, we get down to the bones of the request before you tonight. And if I can beg your indulgence, if I run out of time, I'll try to speed this through here. But I think it's important to understand the analysis that the City of Indianapolis went into and how this affects the use under the ordinance as a similar use to a nursing home. We are requesting tonight that the board affirm the 2020 administrative determination of the City of Indianapolis that a specialty type substance use disorder residential addiction treatment facility to provide ASAM level 3.5 residential services, including high-intensity, clinically focused services for individuals with substance use disorder who require less medical and clinical support than an inpatient hospital setting, but more medical and clinical support than an outpatient setting, aligns with the intent of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance language regulating nursing home land uses, as determined by the ordinance and defined by the ordinance, including use-specific criteria and based on the following findings of fact. Excuse me. The use is licensed by the Indiana State Department of Health and the Marion County Public Health Department. The operations of this facility are under the auspices of those two controlling bodies. The developed real estate has demonstrated compatibility with the greater neighborhood and the community for over 50 years at this location. The site is designed with appropriate access and maneuverability for emergency vehicles. The size of the building has not increased since the late 1970s, as evidenced by the aerial photographs. The scale of the operations has not increased due to the finite space of the building, which limits the number of people for whom care may be provided. The operating characteristics remain unchanged. It's a short-term residential facility that offers highly specialized care and rehabilitation services for people recovering from illness, injuries, and surgeries to help them fully recover, leave the facility, and lead independent lives. And the external impacts are less with this use because the current residents are not allowed visitors during their stay. We have others here from Hickory and affiliates. We have a graduate of the program. If you want to hear from them at some point, or if you have questions about the details. The clinical director of the facility is in attendance tonight. She can get into the nitty-gritty, the details. The two individuals that I handed out to you, a little bit of their bio. Dr. Kelly is here as well. If you want to get into the medical aspects of what we're doing, he would be the expert on that. And we have others who may be able to answer any questions. I will certainly try, but the specifics and the nature of the operations and such are beyond me and best left to those who deal with it on a day-to-day basis. With that, I will conclude my remarks on the presentation here and await any questions that you may have.
Yeah, how did you end up here? Did an improvement location permit get turned down?
We ended up here, there were, on the heels of the renovation of the building itself, there were some cleanup matters that needed to be tended to, and we received zoning violations from the City of Indianapolis Business and Neighborhood Services Department. We have worked through most of those. This is one of the last items left to be addressed with them, and that process is on hold pending the outcome of the matter tonight. If you affirm what Indianapolis did in their letter on 2020, then we will report that to the other agency and hopefully close the books on that matter as well. And again, it's a little bit of a twist on the administrative appeal process in that we're asking you to agree with what Indianapolis has done.
And I had the exact same questions and thought about this process. So what, and correct me if I'm wrong, so what Indianapolis has done is you went to them and you essentially asked for like an advisory opinion. And said, so if this were to come before you, and they're not the board, they don't make the final decision, but as planners, do you think it's included in this? And they said, yes, we think that nursing homes, that definition would cover substance abuse treatment centers. And so what they essentially did then was to tell you to come here to us to see if we also agreed with that interpretation?
That last step was our choice in addressing the remaining violation regarding land use. It's an alleged violation, and we're trying to convince them as well that we have everything we need to conduct this business at that location. Hickory had discussions with, hi.
I just want to interrupt real quickly to help you understand where we stand with the BZA ruling. We know that right now, with the new ruling for BZA and for us as a city, that everything could still go down to Indianapolis and they can make a decision. We are now in the midst of working with our lobbyists and the City of Lawrence to get full control of the council making decisions. So this was way before us, Lawrence, had the opportunity to establish our BZA with the strength that we have. So I think since 2020, that's where it went and landed. And then we've been working with them and Indianapolis to get a final ruling. And so we're still, how do I say this? We still have a BZA council. We do our permits and everything, but sometimes a lot of the things still go down to Indianapolis to make the final decision. And under this administration, we're trying to get full control. So this has been going on. And so we're here tonight to ask for a final decision from the Lawrence Board. I hope that helped.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. So then following up on what the mayor just explained.
If I may
Oh,
follow
go
up on that. The point that Hickory was in discussion with the City of Indianapolis was prior to those legislative changes. And we approached them because the use as we operate is not defined under any of the land use classifications in their ordinance. We had to request from them that determination in order to secure the licensing requirements of the state and the county. So that's what we had to work with the authority at that time. And now there's been a shift, a slight shift to the city of Lawrence on this, which is why we're here tonight asking for confirmation.
Okay, so then if we say we don't agree with their interpretation, then what happens?
Everything is subject to appeal.
So
and-
then you'd appeal it to the MDC?
I have to figure out that exact path.
And downtown can overrule us. and-
Right,
yeah.
well,
Yeah,
MDC can overrule everybody, so.
If it's under the same rules and regulations and bylaws that the Metro Divisions 1, 2, and 3 BZA operate, yes, it could be appealed to the Metropolitan Development Commission first. Beyond that, I think it would go to court.
Okay, all right, so then we can make a decision. And so, okay, so I will tell you that I think treatment centers are different than nursing homes. And one of the first things that came into my mind as I'm reading this is that this opinion had to have been thought about and considered by people who were younger, because now that my friends have gotten older, and unfortunately I'm getting older, and my parents, I went through it with them, nursing homes are actually very different. When you go into a nursing home, it's because you can't personally care for yourself. Now, rehab portion of a nursing home is different, and continued medical care, that's another part of it. I don't know what this nursing home was offering before, but your people come in with an illness, a direct illness. It's not that they just can't button their shirts or can't remember to eat or anything like that. They come in with an illness, and they come in to be treated, and it's an intensive program. And so, and do you also provide detoxification services? No, we do not. Okay.
Where do these, they are brought in, where are they brought in from?
Just a point of order here. I guess we can have the rest of the conversation. I have to bring people forward to help me answer these questions. I didn't know if you wanted to get into the public hearing first or let this conversation happen.
Well, this is the public hearing. The board is asking these
Okay,
questions now.
okay. Yep, Valerie?
I mean, I see in here the operation characteristics remain unchanged. It says people recovering from illnesses, injuries, and surgeries, which in a roundabout way a nursing home does.
Yeah, and it does do that, but these folks are only coming in for illness. They're not coming in post-surgery. If they are, that must be the rare occasion.
It doesn't have to be all of the characteristics listed
Right.
there, but operationally, this operation is very, very similar to nursing home. My oldest sister has health issues, and a couple of times she has had to go into a nursing home, and what we think of as the traditional nursing home for care, nutrition, medical supervision, and physical therapy. She's back home, so it's the substance abuse treatment that evokes fears in people is not what this program is. Those uses exist, which is why the city of Indianapolis defined them specifically. They wanted to place certain restrictions, location restrictions and use restrictions on those, I'll call them harsher activities, for the protection of the general community. But this use before you tonight operationally is very similar to nursing homes, and we shouldn't delve into the very details of exactly which population demographic is being treated.
Well, let me ask you this. The City of Indianapolis letter also made reference to being a residence, and your response to that was that, well, this building's characteristics were established long before that was put in place. But your use that you seek to put in there was put in there after that requirement was made, right?
As a continuation of as a nursing home under the determination.
But it's not a nursing home. And it's not a nursing
It
home,
is.
it's
It
substance
is.
abuse. And she said, no, they said that it comports with the intention of the ordinance. It didn't say it's a nursing home. It just said that the use that you all have comports with that. But you still have to meet the residential requirement when you're surrounded by residences like you are, or like your client is. And so that is my question, is that it states that if they're surrounded by residents, and you're saying that the building, when it was first built, wasn't designed or built to be like a residence, I'm saying that that requirement that it comport with residential was made, enacted into place before you all came in and said, we're going to use it in this manner.
Okay. As a nursing home and the building itself, they predate the updates that have been made to the zoning ordinance, and they are protected for continuation of any nonconformities that may exist, and they had received approval through a land use variance to operate as a nursing home. So we're continuing that in the same building. Those incongruities with the specifics that you quote are guaranteed under pre-existing land uses.
Right. I think that I have to disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I mean, it just seems to me that you all picked a building, you knew that with this kind of use, it was going to require that it be residential. It's like if I put it into, if you had a, say you had an auto mechanic, a big garage there, and that had been there for years and years. Then the city comes through and they enact a new law that would make it impossible for you to put that in there now. But you come in and you say, oh, I got a brand new use for this. I'm going to say, it's the same thing as mechanic, and I don't have to comply with this requirement of being, if it's in residential, because I'm continuing being a mechanic even though I'm a baker. And that, I think, is the difference. I guess I have a real problem saying that these treatment centers are the same as nursing homes. Now, God knows we need them, and we probably need more of them. But the situation is very different when it's sitting there surrounded by residences, and that's what I'm thinking about. But thank you for your
Well,
patience.
If you could help me understand your thoughts about how they're different,
How-
maybe we can continue.
How nursing homes and treatments, substance abuse treatment centers are different?
Nursing homes and this use, that's what we're talking about tonight.
Okay, first of all, you keep saying this particular use. Did you enter into covenants that are going to restrict it to this use forever, to the exact model that you have and no more?
I think we're held bound to the letter of determination by the city and this.
The letter of determination, but you're saying that you're less than that, because we don't have the visitors coming, we don't have this, we don't have that. Well, if the Hickory should decide to sell this facility, those other people aren't going to be bound. They're not going, their business model may be totally different. So they're going to be there. They may say, yes, you can have visitors, yes, you can go out for 2 hours a day or whatever. They may not be as responsible as Hickory is. But there's nothing requiring them.
We can limit it to this petition.
Right, no, I know, but this petition, I'm asking them if they entered into covenants to make sure that for the future, because they're asking here for a variance that's not going to run with the.
for administrative
approval. Right, then there's a difference, and so if we're going to say it's the same thing as a nursing home, then I think we need to make sure that it operates as much as a nursing home as possible. Because the problem with, as we know, with people with substance abuse, if you allow guests in, one of the reasons they don't allow the guests to visit is because they can bring them drugs. They bring them reminders of the other life. They talk, it's like bringing that world that you're trying to separate them from back in. In a nursing home, you want people to be able to come and see people and all of that, because you want the world to come in, so it helps pull them out. So, I mean, I think there are big differences, and so there's nothing, though, this use that Hickory is doing, there's no promise that down the road, if we go ahead and grant this letter, that the neighborhood and the residents are going to be protected by someone in who is not as caring or not as good and aggressive as Hickory is in pursuing this program. And that is my concern.
I understand and appreciate
And thank you
that.
for your patience.
No, I understand.
thank God.
This is a good conversation. But ultimately, the request before you tonight is to either agree or not with the letter of determination. And with that, I will let Valerie introduce herself. She's the clinical director for the the
Let's
operation.
hear from Valerie.
Hello.
Hello.
Valerie Jones Turner, address 11809 Serenity Lane, and I'm the executive director, and I am, have been a corporate clinical director for Hickory as well. You asked us where we get our referrals from. We get our referrals from hospitals. A lot of our referrals do come from hospitals, just like Community North. We have clients that come in who sometimes do have health problems. So we do have nurses, nurse practitioners, we have doctors on staff, so that we do address medical needs as well with the clients.
But do they come in with drug issues, or do they just come in with illnesses or surgeries or injuries or anything like
So
that?
it's a mental health and substance use program.
Okay. Any other questions for Valerie? Thank you.
If you'll allow me, I'm going to come back to beat the dead horse here. There is actually
Wait a minute, did you
limitation-
say that because my last name is Horseman?
No, not at all. No, ma'am. We are limited. If you look at the language in the letter of determination itself,
The letter to what, I'm sorry?
at the bottom half, the last paragraph there,
In what, of what?
it's under tab 5.
From the Indianapolis, right?
Yeah, the Indianapolis letter. It is our understanding that Hickory House intends to pursue an Indiana state licensure under specialty type substance use disorder residential addiction treatment facility to provide ASAM level 3.5 residential services. Per ASAM standards, level 3.5 residential treatment provides high-intensity, clinically focused services for individuals with substance use disorder who require less medical and clinical support than an inpatient hospital setting, but more medical and clinical support than outpatient setting. That is the limitation that the Indianapolis put on their determination. If someone else follows that exact footprint, they would benefit from that determination. But if they weren't under that same licensure, and the other treatment centers are, I think, not under that same licensure, then they wouldn't be able to operate at that location.
But that doesn't address, the language in here and the licensure, I do not believe address whether you can allow visitors, whether you can allow people to go off premises, whether, and all of
But-
which would be potentially increasing traffic and people going in and out and all that. So,
More like a regular nursing home.
yeah, no, because old people don't get up and move around. No, not like that.
But they do have visitors. And
They have visitors,
yeah.
yes.
My 92-year-old mother is in a traditional nursing home, and the parking lot is always full.
The parking lot is
Yeah.
always full. But
Yeah.
here's the other thing, too, on substance treatment, and
Okay.
I've dealt with the same issue with homeless shelters and that. It's not the people who are getting the treatment and all that who are necessarily being the problem. It's the people who come to try and further victimize them or try to get them out to go do something that they shouldn't be doing that is the problem. And so that's why there are concerns and such. And
understand.
so, but no, this language, I disagree with you, this language does not
Okay.
do that.
You have to come up to the thing, please.
I really appreciate the conversation. It's good. It's a good dialogue.
Sorry, Valerie.
I'm sorry. I really appreciate your concerns, but it is our job to protect, it's my job to protect this neighborhood as well as to protect our clients. So we take that very serious about who comes in and out of our buildings and who comes around our buildings. So we make sure that our first priority is the neighbors that we share a common goal with. You know, we're not just there just to be there and cause a common nuisance. We're here to protect the neighbors and also protect our clients as well. So no one just comes in our building or no one just comes up there. We don't even have signage up there saying where we are. So we believe in the anonymity of our clients and the confidentiality. We keep our blinds closed, so we don't want anybody to know who's in there, and we respect that for the clients. And we don't even want the neighbors to know what we do. We just want to be silent and do what we do, passionately do what we do to take care of the people.
How
that
many
we take care of.
clients are you fully staffed? How many?
Client to patient ratio.
Yeah, client to patient ratio. Is all the beds full all the time? How many beds do you have?
Okay, so we are a 55-bed female facility.
Female only?
Female-only facility. So we cater to women's needs and women's issues, and so we have different programs that come in here and help us with the women to teach them about their health.
Well, and my concern, again, is not with you all, because you all obviously you've set boundaries, you've done all of this type of thing. My concern is once you get this zoning designation on this property, then people who come, that subsequent operators may not be as scrupulous as Hickory is about making sure that those protections are there. And that, because we have to look at this, when you do make a decision about a property, it's not just about how it's being used today, because this designation will continue on until the next board changes it. So it's also how it's going to be impacting and how it can be utilized in the future. So,
Right.
thank you.
Thank
You
you.
all, it sounds like you do good work, and I will promise you, I will be just as tough on the remonstrators with my questions.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any
Does the
questions?
board have any other questions?
Thank you again.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the remonstrators for or against the petition. Please step up to the mic, state your name and address, please.
My name is Kathy Clark. I live at 8807 East 46th Street. We have 11 parcels that are either next door or contingent or across the street from this location. And I just want to, I'm going to pretty much show a picture of what this company's about. On late 2018, early 2019, my husband and I were informed by one of our tenants that lived next door to the nursing home. At that time, it was a nursing home, who also worked at the Lawrence Manor Nursing Home. She was informed it was closing to become a drug rehab. She lost her job immediately. We immediately went door to door to our neighbors for signatures opposing this happening. Fully expecting to have a zoning hearing, which never happened, ever, we are fully aware of zoning procedures, especially in Lawrence. We contacted the City of Lawrence to review the plans submitted to Renee Rafala's office. We pointed out at the plans and showed that they were bunk beds, which are not what nursing homes use for their patients. And so the first clue, Hickory's less than truthfulness in their plans. Chosen or Hickory House, also and other numerous names they go by, all over the country, Texas, North Carolina, Missouri, and most recently Indianapolis at the 2926 Capitol Avenue. They bought a nursing home and vacated it and said it was going to be remodeled, and they displaced longtime patients and turned it into a drug rehab center without proper permits or zoning. The neighbors were blindsided and had no way to remonstrate. They are and have done, and they keep doing this all over the country. Of course, we know why. There's loads of money to be made, and Moshe Orlinsky, who is the primary stakeholder, has much experience along with Sky Rehab in a very lucrative business. Our suspicion that Chosen and Hickory knowingly played games with the city staff. Their deceitfulness, ignoring stop work orders, not supplying plans for prior to paying the permits with the city. They knew that the old administration would be gone at the end of 2023, with new administration coming in 2024, and a new legal team for the city of Lawrence. We even pointed out to the city staff that they placed a very visible billboard sign on eastbound Pendleton Pike announcing the new drug rehab center at the address of 8935 East 46th. This is before it even opened. During this whole time, they continued to say it was going to be a nursing home. They even went as far to Photoshop a picture with their employees in front of the old nursing home sign. Shady to say the least. We have an email that we directed to the city at the time, and City of Lawrence, Rafala's office, Kay Voller, City of Lawrence, that she was the attorney at the time, John at icemiller.com, and your Savan Siri, Sir, they call him, I'm not sure, but this was all directed to them. And they said, they answered, we gave them permission to complete the roof work to prevent any further damage to the building, and that's what they are doing. No other work will be done after that. The city code inspector was out there verifying that this morning, and he confirmed the same thing. They would need a zoning variance for a drug rehab facility, and we informed them again in our last meeting that city will not support such a facility. They are only approved for a nursing home per the current zoning they have had, and if this would not need to be built, they'd have to have a rezoning and a variance to happen. And this is from SRI Venue Gopalapan. He's the PE engineering. I'm not sure. I'm sure you know who he is. Anyway, the old nursing home was never zoned properly, which goes back to 1960. We asked David Kingan, who all you know him very well, to investigate this, and he was basically ignored and dumbfounded that the lack of proper procedure in rezoning or variance was not followed. He contacted several City of Lawrence officials or offices to find information which we all have had the request and to review. Our neighbor, Bob Charlock, and I went to the mayor's office one morning. When we arrived, no one was there, and after a few moments, the mayor rounded the corner with Fire Chief Dino Batalis. When we introduced ourselves, he was obviously unhappy. We shared with him about the web link and asked if anyone had gone to look at the site. He stated that's just an accusation. Bob mentioned that that's their website. Bob offered a copy of the link. He refused it, and he got very angry. We were not threatening, nor were we out of line. The truth never changes, however. He said we needed to leave or he would have us removed and arrested. Of course, we left. Our question is, how can the City of Lawrence, informing Chosen Hickory that they opposed a drug rehab to seemingly aiding and avoiding an application for a variance? When we have witnessed fights outside the building, clothing strewn out in front, lawns with staff, and we assume one of the drug addicts couldn't comply, yelling and screaming. We have seen sheriffs, we have seen the Lawrence Police Department be there. We've called, and they've dropped off patients, by the way. Well over 100 police runs and fire runs at this location since it's opened. We are curious, are they being assessed for these fees for those runs? We have seen commercial trucks delivering food supplies, commercial dumpsters serviced at 5 a.m. in the morning, which is very annoying. They have parked in areas not permitted. The west side of the building has these lighting lumens that make our backyard look like it's daylight. And we've asked them to take care of that, and that hasn't happened. It's obvious that the citizens of Watson Addition are very concerned for their well-being. We have had our cars gone through and items missing from our properties. We feel strongly that the variance rezoning should have been properly addressed 3+ years ago, and we wouldn't even have this discussion today. Chosen and Hickory stated that since COVID happened, they couldn't make it a nursing home because of the remodeling cost. Plus, nursing homes do not generate enough money. From the get-go, they're less than truthful from the very beginning, along with their deceitfulness and using their bullying way that they have around the city and around the United States, knowing how to circumvent policies by cities who have allowed them to do whatever they please. We, the public, have been hoodwinked, and to have you, the very people that we have as citizens here, rely upon following proper procedures. We all know that this complete incompetence, they have been caught lying and deceiving and everyone except the people that are directly affected, which is us. I don't know about you, Tom. I know, Margin, you wouldn't allow this in your neighborhood. You wouldn't even allow a shed to be built. I don't know about anybody else, but I believe that there is a place for this. There's a building at 38th and Post Road that's been sitting vacant for I don't know how many years now, and it could have served the public a lot better place and had more parking available to them. I don't know what's next. All I know is this. What's next, I can tell you it's going to happen. The address, 8943, it's a house. It's just east of this location, was purchased by $165,000 by the neighbors that lived right next door to the nursing home. They bought this before the building was even finished. We know what they're going to do. The next thing is going to be they're going to come forward and they're going to demolish this house and make it a parking lot. My question to you, are you going to make them have a drainage ditch, the drainage pond and all that stuff like everyone else is supposed to have? All I know is this, that we oppose this. That the Lawrence Manor Nursing Home served a purpose, and we had no problems When they did have to send a fire truck or an ambulance, we knew that there was really a problem. People's lives were at stake. I don't know what we can do and what you can do. I'm asking you to consider not approving this. It is not fair to us. The people that live in our neighborhood have lived there over 40-some years. We lived there since 1983. And it's a a neighborhood that's it's a good neighborhood. And by having something like this in our neighborhood is not helping our property values, that's for sure. I don't have anything else to say other than the fact that I just thank you for your time and the consideration.
Any,
Can I ask a question to Kathy before she leaves?
Kevin,
Are you saying this is operating as a drug rehab center today?
It's open. It's been open for the last couple years.
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's been operating
Okay.
just like
Okay,
any
well-
other
you hear
business.
from me.
Oh, okay.
sir, just a second.
Hi,
Renee, how
folks.
long?
Wait a minute,
My name's Bob Shaw.
Kathy,
Whoop.
can
Hold
I
on.
please?
What was that?
I have a question for her.
Sure.
So Kathy, you talked about who bought the house next to?
Chosen or Hickory, one or the other. They go by so many different names. I mean, when I put the notice in to a request to be able to be heard, I put all the names that this company goes by. It's not just Chosen or Hickory, okay? They go by a lot of names, and they know how to get this done. They do it all across the country. And it's very lucrative business is what it is. And I'd like to find out what the percentages of success rates are. I can tell you this, I've been in my own backyard and I smelled pot from their location. Okay, and
But that can travel.
it is true.
It can travel.
Okay.
Okay, sir,
Well,
Sir.
once again, folks, hi.
Sir.
My name is Bob
hold
Shaw.
on, sir,
Oh, you have more questions?
sir.
Get up here.
No, no.
We're talking to you.
Sir,
Bob.
I was talking to you, Bob.
What was
You
it?
have 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to ask you something. Why did that gentleman get far more than 3 minutes?
No, the secretary is keeping
I'm
track.
going to do this as quickly as possible. Okay. These materials are a small portion of the materials that I received from the City of Lawrence through a Public Records Act request. A small portion. I only brought this portion with me so I can tell the story so that you'll understand what's happened without spending too much time. But if I take more than 3 minutes, I hope you'll be patient. All right, this all starts in 2018. A friend of mine is a speech therapist, was working on contract at Lawrence Manor Nursing Home. She was in there several times a week. She called me. She said that she had just been informed that Lawrence Manor Nursing Home was closing and it was opening as a drug rehab. I talked to my neighbor Kathy a few days later. She told me that the employees that she knew there had told her that they had been told the same thing, that they were closing Lawrence Manor and they were opening as a drug rehab. So that establishes that it's clear. It was to be a drug rehab from the beginning. So here's where I'm going to ask you at the end of this to ask yourself 2 questions. I'll get to those. Okay, so we begin. First thing, Kathy and I took a petition throughout the entire neighborhood, unanimous, 100%, 80 signatures, no drug rehab. All right, so we begin. On July 31st. We'll go past that one. It's not that relevant. Okay. This is from permits to Chosen. What you provided doesn't tell us the purpose for the facility. The reason I'm asking is because the state says it will be for a drug rehab. That's because Chosen had filed for a variance with the state, not with the City of Lawrence, the state. And that's where they got caught. And this is from permits. They want to know what it's actually going to be. From Chosen to permits. Oh, a drug alcohol rehabilitation center is something we are considering. And that's where the lying begins. And it is out and out lying. On the 28th, Mike, upon discussion with the city administration, I want to let you know that we will not be in favor of a drug and alcohol rehab. All right, and then we'll go on to, well, there's a lot of emails exchanged that I have.
Okay, we appreciate that, but we don't have time to go through every email.
I'm not,
Your
I'm
time's
almost
up,
done.
so if
I
we
would
could wrap it up.
appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
Okay. A lot of emails back and forth where Chosen continues to deny it's going to be a drug rehab, all the time knowing it's going to be one. Okay, so the city's permits office is pressing them. We'll move forward to, let's say, because I don't want to waste your time.
It's the rules, sir. It's not about wasting time.
On,
You'll get a 5-minute rebuttal at the end.
Just be patient. Okay, well, I won't give you the exact date. I'm driving down Penland Pike one day in the 9500 block of Penland Pike, and there's a big billboard, Hickory Drug Rehab. It has a phone number on it, and has the 8935 address, which is directly across the street from my house. I inform the city. I call permits and say, look, they've got a billboard up, and they're still denying it's going to be a drug rehab. They've got a billboard up. On the 18th, the billboard is gone. That was the 2nd of August. 18th, the billboard is gone. We move on. I'm watching, because I know before they open up, they're going to open up a web presence. So I'm watching and watching. Sure enough, here comes a web presence. Website, Hickory Drug Rehab at Lawrence. It has the address, it has a phone number. I copy the URL. I send it to the mayor's office. I get no reply back. I send an email on. I haven't heard from you about this. Have you looked into it? Nothing. At that point, Kathy and I, about a week later, go to the mayor's office. There's no one in the mayor's office. No one in the reception there, no one anywhere. We wait a few minutes. Kathy calls out, is anybody here? Around the corner comes the mayor.
Bob, we need to wrap this up.
I introduce myself. Okay. The mayor says, when I say it's a drug rehab website, the mayor says that's an accusation. I said, go to the site, look for yourself. That's an accusation. At that point, he threatened to have us arrested. We didn't leave. Okay. Here's the thing. This company has practiced, here, let me show you a photograph. See that? They put that up. It was on another website they opened for their nursing home that never opened, never existed. This sign never existed where it's at. It's either photoshopped in or they held it up for the photo. It never existed. I live directly across the street. Okay. So we've got a company who practice lie after lie after lie. They lied to the city. They lied to you. This is 2018. They filed for a variance with the city in November of 2024. That's a lot of lapsed time. They waited for a reason. So they've lied and they lied and they lied.
Sir, your
And,
time is up.
I got to ask you, do you want to reward them? Do you want to reward them with this variance when they've lied and they've lied and they've lied to the city, to you, to the residents? Now, the other thing is,
Bob,
this
thank
is
you very
not
much.
interchangeable with a nursing home. Check. In Indiana, drug rehab facilities are under mental health, and mental health will tell you they are not interchangeable. So what was cannot be.
Thank you,
That's all
sir.
there is to it. Now, property values. You can go
Thank
to
you, sir.
site after site.
Bob, that's
We-
enough.
We have to cut you off. Your time's up. It's been,
I got to time this guy. Oh, by the way,
I
you're going to
timed you.
cut me off for just a second. I worked for 10 years in drug and alcohol rehab. Not where he works. I worked in the streets. I worked in the hospital with social services. Ashkenazi and Methodist. I worked with people coming out of prison. I worked with the homeless. I know drug and alcohol rehab. If you've got somebody in trouble, Harbor Lights is your best bet.
Thank
After
you,
that,
sir.
they can't take Harbor
Thank you.
Lights. Pathways to Recovery,
Thank you,
Bob.
sir.
Dove House.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a billing company, not a drug
Thank you.
rehab company.
Thank you, Bob. I see we have two counselors. Would either one of you like to speak tonight? Thank you. You,
Just
just a minute, okay? You'll get a 5-minute rebuttal, just like the remonstrators. Okay. Now it's time for the City of Lawrence.
I can do it, Mayor, if you don't, if the staff report.
I think the mayor should have a few minutes to say
Absolutely.
You have
As much time as you want.
as much time.
First of all, I want to appreciate everyone for coming out to share and engage in a very fruitful conversation. It's very important that we understand both sides of the situation, so I want to applaud everyone feeling strong enough and confident enough to come out to say their opinion. Also, all I want to say is this is a new administration. What happened in 2018 and 2020 is something that I had no control over. But I also understand that as we are trying to, in the city, be transparent, talk about communication, community, and good governance, I want to make sure that we understand and give everyone the opportunity to speak. But what's so important to me is that there has been over 2,000 patients served in a woman and pregnant women patient focus on Lawrence. There is a 71% graduation rate for women who enter this residential treatment program. Everybody knows my history, 40 years in healthcare, being at the East Coast for 15 years in one hospital, 5 years in another, and 28 years with Community Health Network. And I've seen mental health illness, I've seen addiction, I've seen different things, and we have to take in consideration women's health right now. And yes, this might have been in the past a convalescent home. My understanding also is once the patients are admitted, they stay on site through the program completion. There's no outpatient services ordered at the site. My understanding too, most of the cars that you see in the parking lot are employee cars. I had an opportunity to visit the site 3 times in my first year and also watch them doing a graduation. This is something that is needed throughout our city, not just in Lawrence, Indianapolis, and all over. We all know that mental health is an illness. It's very well an opportunity for us to take a step forward and participate. I don't know all the treatment options, but I do know that if there's a way that we could come together as a city, as a opportunity to be good neighbors, and come to some type of situation that we can make this work, I think it would benefit the patients that they get from all over, and also will benefit the city of Lawrence as we're moving forward to make sure that we have quality of life in the city of Lawrence. So I am open, and my administration's open to continue to hear both sides. But we also know that in 2020, the city of Indianapolis has garnished and asked that this be affirmed. I would like for us to try to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have the petitioner.
Petitioner, do you
Petitioner.
have any? Yeah.
We appreciate this time. I'm going to address just a few of the comments, and then I'm going to let Dr. Kelly speak with you, and you may have questions of him as well. We are operating under proper zoning. There was a land use variance back in the 1970s for a nursing home at this location in a residential district. We are operating under the auspices of the administrative determination letter that we received from the city of Indianapolis. And regarding the Indianapolis facility, they are fully engaged with the neighborhood and the organized groups around them, and they've got excellent working relationship with them. With that, I'll let Dr. Kelly speak.
Thank you. While I was listening to all of this.
I'm sorry, Doctor, we need your name and your address for the record, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
please.
my name's Timothy Kelly, MD. You want my home address or my office?
Your office is fine, sir.
7250 Clear Vista Drive, Indianapolis 46256, Community North Campus.
Thank you, sir.
Right up the road. So I just want to introduce a concept here. An interchangeable term for nursing home for years has been convalescent center. That's what I remember as a kid hearing, you know, that my mother was in a convalescent center. I come from a family whose, I grew up in a family with active substance use disorder is the current respectful term. Addiction and some of the other things I heard about earlier were less than most respectful, to be honest. Convalescent, I just looked it up. To recover one's health and strength over a period of time. That's the definition of convalescence. Okay? All this came in front of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Commission or whatever certifies this. So the care delivered at Hickory Treatment Center to women who are the least of us, who have been traumatized. The vast majority, this is what I do for 45 years. This is why I'm on the earth. I love what I do. It is a privilege to serve these women. And that's not the only patients. I've treated adolescents and mostly men. But I work primarily at Community North on an inpatient facility at a higher level of care where the people are going through active withdrawal management, detoxification. Many of them have attempted suicide and have very high levels of medical and psychiatric problems. We step them down to facilities, and Hickory is one of our main referral places. They step down to that residential level of care. So the acute medical management is typically done at a place like Community North. They are stepped down when the acute management is over to that level. Over 80% of these women have suffered severe trauma, often childhood sexual abuse. Hickory is responding, instead of being made out as a, just a horrific organization, they're responding to a tremendous community, both local and national emergency. We are in an epidemic. Over 100,000 people, many of whom were in the prime of their life, lost their life to drug overdose. So if you want to say something positive about Hickory, you could say they've responded to a national epidemic. This is killing our country. And how many families have suffered? So does any disease have a 100% success rate? No. Diabetes does not have a 100% success rate. Cancer treatment does not have a 100% success rate. The care delivered at Hickory is excellent. We refer there because we know the care is very good and consistent with standards of care today for addiction treatment. It is convalescent. So the Indianapolis, I just want to read the last 5 lines here. The Department of Metropolitan Development has received the ordinance and applicable use criteria for nursing home, has reviewed it, and determined that the proposed facility aligns with the intent of the ordinance to provide convalescent care. It's just a much more specialized form of convalescent care. Once again, the definition of convalescence is to recover one's health and strength over a period of time. That is exactly what's happening at that facility. People are not coming and going, and people like, this happens, I had to testify for a women's recovery program that's in my own neighborhood. I grew up near 46 and College. There's a women's program called Heart Rock, 49th and Winthrop, right up the street from my house when I was a kid. And people tried to block that, saying that the people were using drugs and they were going to fight and overdose. And okay, that program has gone extremely well. I had to testify at the Indianapolis Metropolitan Development Commission for that program. They voted 8-1 to approve it. It's been an overwhelming success. They take care of women who are pregnant and who have children under 2, and they can have their children on site. I heard the proposal, kick them down the street, make them move to 38th Street, anywhere but our neighborhood. This is the fight that people who do what I do have had to fight our whole career, is being pushed out, marginalized. We don't want you, but I'm appealing to, if any of you like the phrase, the least of us, that's what we do, okay? And a lot of what I heard was very judgmental, and just pushing it off to another neighborhood is not the solution, because people in that neighborhood will do the same thing. So the care is excellent. I refer there, and we just heard the mayor support our initiative as well. Also, this has been up and running. If it was so terrible, why is it not all over the newspaper? Sometimes an ambulance comes or a police comes, somebody passes out or they have to be taken somewhere. Sometimes the police do maybe drop people off for treatment, okay? But if this was so terrible, this would be widespread known in the community.
What, are they severe drug addicts? Are they,
Okay.
let me,
Look-
I'm trying to be politically
I think the
correct
question
here.
is, do they have severe substance use disorder? Thank you. All illnesses have a spectrum. We have very mild diabetes, and we have people that have trouble controlling their blood sugar with the care of an endocrinologist, the most severe. We treat the whole spectrum.
Okay.
But these are people, okay, where I am at Community North, we get people who just attempted suicide. They're in psychosis. They have severe medical problems. They're in need of medical detoxification. We do all of that. We stabilize that. Hickory is a step-down facility where people convalesce, get their strength back, learn how to manage this illness, okay? So do we take care of people who have severe problems? Yes, but they're stable enough for this level of care.
I have a question for you. So how long have you been referring to the agency?
When did they open? When?
Since 2017, the original building.
Oh, 2017?
As Hickory as a whole, referring to Hickory, but ever since Florence opened.
Okay, as soon as they open.
Where were they before?
Well, actually, the same company, I don't know, it's making it sound like this Evil Hickory has taken over this nursing home, but the same company operated it as a nursing home before. I mean, that was owned by the Chosen Corporation.
Affiliate.
Anyway, it was all under the same umbrella. But if you want to not be so judgmental, you would say that they saw a community, both local and national need, to provide care for people with these disorders that need to convalesce. The city of Indianapolis said, okay, and I saw the director, Jay Chaudhry, he's the director of Division of Mental Health and Addiction, and so this Marion County Commission saw this as specialized convalescent care, and they felt that under the language, it did qualify, and they approved it. Now, they also pointed out that, and this would address maybe your concern, that this is going to turn into some other thing. It says, any expansion, alteration, addition of new facilities or uses will require further review by the Department of Metropolitan Development. The renovation of the facility and/or new construction shall be in compliance with all applicable building codes and permitting procedures. So they put a condition that if somebody tried to dramatically change this, and all of a sudden people are coming and going or it turned into something else, they said that would require further review. So they're holding them accountable to stay within the confines of this program, the way it exists. That people are not coming and going, they're not, this is good treatment, and it serves a tremendously disadvantaged population.
I think law, that's my thing. I have my Juris Doctorate, not my medical degree. But when they give you that language in that letter there states that if you're going to come in and actually alter the building, if you're going to change its use as in terms of use defined by Indianapolis ordinances, if you're going to come in and build on an addition, whatever, those then have to get approvals. What it does not apply to are things such as your business model or, your rules that you have regarding your occupants or, how many people can visit and all that type of thing. They can tell you how many parking spots you have to have, but they can't tell you how many people can come and go. So that is the difference, and that
Right.
is my concern, is that it may not be as thorough as Hickory is.
Well, the model that they're developing is, residential treatment. There's no plan to alter the treatment program. It's operating to the satisfaction of the clients and the staff of the facility and the administration of the program. So, I mean, does every program that you review, do you subject it to, well, you could change it down the road into something else and therefore deny it?
Actually, yes, as I was explaining to someone else who was up here, that land use decisions are made not only with an eye to today, but they also have to encompass in the future and what that property can become. So it's a way of enacting your vision for your city and your community.
But couldn't you deny anything on that basis then? You could say anything could be changed.
No. What you look at are the uses that can be. And therein lies one of the big differences between a nursing home and a substance abuse treatment program.
Right.
And so I mean, I definitely see the need, and particularly for women. And I think that that's all good. But I also see that this is I thought it was interesting, a company who owns a substance also owned the nursing home or had a connection. They're intertwined, apparently, these companies. So it knew that this was going to be an issue because they knew what that nursing home was done, what it was. Then at the time they chose to do it, unfortunately, there was apparently a change in the law which short-circuited the variance hearing and all of that should have happened, a full hearing, and didn't, so that the residents of the area didn't get the opportunity to speak then. So now, this is their one and only time to speak, and it's unfortunate. And in the meantime, though, the company, and the devotion of the employees is outstanding. I can tell that just by listening to the passion and everything. But the company now has had, 2 or 3 years to make a profit? They're going to go on and appeal it, so that's going to give them another couple of years. They already switched it from a nursing home. If they can't get this, maybe they'll switch it to something else.
It's unlikely that, how would I know?
We don't.
It seems like unlikely they would go back to being a nursing home. A lot of their focus has gone into this kind of treatment. It's not, people make it sound as evil if you're a for-profit corporation. Like, what do you think built America? For-profit corporations. Lawrence is trying to, be a community on the move, and you would want to support businesses. It's not incompatible to, serve underserved people and provide good care and be a for-profit corporation. So,
Can I make a comment? I'm not sure we're here as a social service provider. I look at this letter from the city of Indianapolis. It's not worth the paper it's written on. We here had Indianapolis be advisors to us for how many years. They would come in with a letter like this. This was not something approved by anybody. this wasn't approved by the BZA of Indianapolis or the Metropolitan Development Commission. This is a staff planner. And Larry Williams used to come in here every month, and he would say, I, Larry Williams, think you shouldn't have a car wash on because of this ordinance. But we didn't, we listened to him, but this is not a change of law ordinance. This is a recommendation by a staff planner. And I wonder if, when you got this, were you concerned not to go to DMD and get a,
Okay.
no,
I apologize, now you're completely out of my area of expertise.
well,
You're going
well,
back to
but,
the attorney.
but we're
I just want you
here,
to- I just
we're
want
a zoning BZA, and our heart goes out to you for your community service. But we have to deal with the law and the structure, and you've been operating for 5 years. So I'd love an answer to that, because that looks to me like a staff planner who had an opinion, but didn't go to anybody.
All right, it's been, pardon me, it's been alleged that we have not followed the law, but we have. If you'll turn under tab 3,
Okay?
there's a quote from the zoning ordinance that is in effect. And it establishes this process precisely, where anyone with a question about a land use that is not listed in the ordinance can approach the administrator of the department to make a determination based on the description of the proposed use against a listed and defined use in the ordinance.
So,
And
well, I'm sorry, and what department is that? Is this the state or Indianapolis?
The Department of Metropolitan Development for the
Okay.
City of Indianapolis. This is their ordinance. It's an option under that process. If Indianapolis had not issued its letter of determination, excuse me, we would have sought other routes for this location, which would have involved a public hearing and possibly a use variance to establish the specific use. But the use, as we've defined it, is not copacetic with exact definitions for listed land uses under the ordinance. So we have
So-
followed that.
On item 3, you're saying the Board of Zoning Appeals did hear that?
No, and it didn't have to. The ordinance doesn't require it. This is an administrative process that's available under the ordinance.
Okay.
So are you saying that a person who's seeking a variance or of use has a choice? They either can take it to the BZA or ask
No, ma'am.
the administrator
No,
if
ma'am.
it doesn't, if the use that they're proposing is not addressed?
No, that's not what I said. What I said was that this process, this administrative process, was pursued, and it bore fruit.
I know, but you said that this is what you
If-
chose to
if
do.
If this had not happened in that fashion, then we would have pursued other options under the code, which may have included a rezone or it may have included a land use variance, but we didn't have to get to that point.
So, okay, this process is really now I'm more confused, because I assume this is like an advisory opinion. If you're
It-
not listed, if your use isn't listed in the zoning ordinances, then you can go to the DMD and you can say, hey, can you give me an idea, will this use be covered? And so they say, we interpret this to mean that, yeah, substance abuse centers fulfill the same intent of the ordinance as nursing homes. But they don't make a determination.
They do under this section of the code.
How is this so this is considered to be a determination? So
Yes.
any use that's not covered, you have a choice then. And once the difference is here, the only reason you're coming here now is because the law has changed?
No.
Okay? So when you made the application for this, you knew at the time that there was a chance that we would have to be deciding something and we may decide against it?
The point at which we approached the city of Lawrence was, excuse me, I need my water. Thank you for your indulgence. The point at which we approached the city of Lawrence for this business tonight was on the heels of a list of alleged zoning violations that were on the heels of the renovations that were done. We've addressed most of those violations, cleaned up the process. This is the last remaining item that the Department of Business and Neighborhood Services, who is the enforcement authority for the zoning code and other matters for the city of Indianapolis.
Okay, so now I'm confused even more. So what you're saying is that
It is confusing.
you got cited for a bunch of things, and in the settlement of those citations with the city of Indianapolis, they gave you a choice of coming to us, or?
No, that's not what I said. There were a number of violations alleged regarding zoning issues on the site. The others had to do with the fence and the repair of that and other things that have been cleaned up since, and they're all code compliant today. The last remaining issue that the Department of B&S had was regarding the use of the property. We shared with them the administrative determination letter, and they asked that we address it through this form.
Why?
You'd have to ask them.
Because, I mean, if this letter was an actual determination, then you could have stood by that, right?
And we tried, but they still would rather, in order to address it to their satisfaction, ask that we pursue this route.
Okay.
And then one other point, just to follow up on Dr. Kelly's reference to convalescence. Convalescence is a part of the nursing home definition in the code, and convalescence is what occurs at this location. I appreciate your discussion tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight, and I want them to know that I am not judging any of your occupants that are there and getting help and that sort of thing. I'm a pastor. I understand the importance of being good stewards and also helping people. The point that I made tonight was the fact of this company being deceitful in their actions and the way they proceeded and didn't do things the proper way. And they allowed people in Rafala's office to be put on the spot, and it was not fair to them based on some of the things that occurred during that time. And I know that our new mayor has a special interest, but I think tonight for her speaking is a conflict of interest, quite honestly. I know that she is doing what she can and supporting that, but she doesn't live next door to it. She doesn't see all the things that we see. And I invite you to come to our home sometime and just see what happens. Okay?
Can I ask a question? So, and I think you just got to the crux of it. We've heard lots of things about how terrible this company is. Now you're alluding to the mayor having a conflict of interest, which I don't even see that one. So let's get to this. How is it impacting you versus, were you living there when the nursing home was there?
Yes, we were.
Okay.
I was also a volunteer there.
Okay.
Hospice
So
volunteer.
tell me, what is the difference in your day-to-day life between when the nursing home was actually there and now a substance abuse?
The traffic. More traffic in and out. There's more employees that work there. They also are parking in the church that's just 2 doors down. They're using that parking area. We have more people traveling up and down 46th Street now. We have semi-trucks that come and deliver food. It's the Cisco Food Company that's one of their suppliers.
Weren't they delivering to the nursing home?
Not
to
to this
deliver-
extent. Not to this extent. The we've had more traffic, obviously, because Pendleton Pike is now one-way eastbound, and people come on 46th Street. So we have a lot more traffic and more people traveling along there. But we've asked them, we sent a letter, we asked them, out front, there's a bush that impedes visibility to come out of our driveway, and nothing's been done about it. It's where the old sign we used to be for the Lawrence Manor Nursing Home. I think, if they would allow people to, I went in one day we lost our cat, I knocked on the door and they buzzed me in. The lady that was there, she goes, "We don't allow any of that here." And I'm thinking, I'm just asking you to post a lost pet. She says, "We can't do that." I mean, she was very, very incordial and not inviting, and I just felt like, wow. And she goes, "Well, this is a drug rehab center." And I said, "I'm fully aware of what it is. I know what this is." And I don't pass judgment on anybody. All I know is that it has disrupted our day-to-day life. The lighting that's on that west side of the building, it's literally like daylight. And we can read our newspaper, and we're like 300, 400 feet away from it in our living room. That's how bright those lights are. It's just, if they'd gone and done things the proper way, like we all are supposed to do, it'd probably be a different thing. But it's not been done that way. And they have deceived the city of Lawrence.
So, Pastor, I do have a question for you. I'm curious, can you elaborate on why you suggested they go to a different location?
Well, first of all, the nursing home back in 1960 was not even properly zoned in. And so a nursing home just shows up in a residential area. It's still zoned residential. It's not been changed. And so we thought, well, great, the nursing home's closed, and there was like years that went by, and then all of a sudden there's activity going on, and we noticed that there was stuff going on at the building. And we thought, wow. So we didn't know sure what was going on, but we were told that it was going to be a drug rehab center from past employees that were at the nursing home. It was nice when it was not being occupied. It was quieter. We didn't have police runs. We didn't have the fire department there every 3 or 4 times a month. I mean, it's just been...
So is it fair to say that you wouldn't even want the nursing home there?
No, I'm just saying that if it were a nursing home, we probably wouldn't have as many police runs and fire trucks.
Thank you.
And we know that we're in the city of Lawrence. So the city of Indianapolis has really nothing to do, quite honestly. This is the city of Lawrence. This is where it sits. It's on the south boundary of Lawrence. And we always say that we're south side of the tracks, and we get left out quite a bit. And we do.
I wish, because I promised I was going to ask you tough questions too. I wish you had brought documentation
Of what?
supporting your claim of increased runs by the
Oh, we've
police and
requested
fire.
that from the city. We've requested it by the Forms Act, where we can actually, but it's not been delivered to us yet.
Did you, well, that would be, I don't know how the call centers operated here in Lawrence, but in Indianapolis, it's different. Well, it's the same thing, I think, isn't it?
I'm sure we could get those documentation.
But anyway, that would have been that would have been helpful to see. Right now, we have anecdotal, and we're only hearing from you. How many people are in this area, residents? How
There's
many
roughly
homeowners?
65 to 80 of us in that area.
Okay.
And the petition that you saw that we put around beginning when all this started happening, and we never got the opportunity to come forward because they didn't do things properly to have a rezoning done or a variance done. We all know how that's supposed to work. Tom, I've gone through it with our businesses and so forth. We had to go through that, make sure that we were doing what we were supposed to do. It's just a matter of fact that if they'd done things the proper way, it probably would have been a little bit different. But they've been deceitful, and they've done things that have not been truthful. And that, to me, is not acceptable.
And you could have negotiated covenants if they had gone through the other process, maybe addressing things such as landscaping, lighting.
I just feel like that they have now that they need to get something to concretely get funding like they need to have, and all the things that have to happen to keep this facility open, that now this is critical. They have to get this done because that's the last thing they have to do before they can go to the next step, whatever that might be. But all I know is that we are, I believe that people need help, yes, and there are people, we have a pandemic, basically, of drug-related issues, and people have crises, and I understand that, mental health. And there should be more opportunities for them, absolutely. But the point that I'm making is that things were not done properly, procedurally. We're all held to that responsibility. If I was standing here because I violated something and didn't do something, I wouldn't expect you guys to say, oh, that's okay, Kathy, it's okay. I'd expect you to do exactly what I hope that you do tonight.
But you understand that they did what they were allowed to do, that the law allowed them to follow this procedure, whether we like it or not. The law allowed them to do that. And
Do we know that?
yeah, I think so, because as they stated, that you can go in when the use isn't elucidated in the zoning code, you can go and ask for this special opinion. And then it carries apparently the effect of law.
But I
wish-
never heard
where's
of
our-
anything like this.
I had never heard of it
But-
until this case
But
either.
I do have a question, though, to you. You didn't even know it was operating. And it's been open for the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
No, he didn't.
I mean, what I'm trying to say is that how often have you gone down south on Post Road to 46th Street and driven by the so-called nursing home, drug rehab facility, mental facility, substance abuse facility? You haven't. You don't live there. That's the difference.
Well, if the requirement were to live there, or to live in all the neighborhoods we have to oversee,
I
you wouldn't have
understand that,
anyone.
but what I'm trying to share with you is that you're not affected by it. We are, on a
And-
day-to-day basis. Anyway.
Any more questions?
It seems like this is the first time this facility ever
Excuse me, folks.
came before a public body to vote.
No,
Yeah.
is there time?
Excuse me for just a second,
Yeah.
folks. First of all, I want to apologize for getting a little upset. I got upset because the first thing I was told I had 3 minutes. Okay, I don't want to leave you with the impression that I somehow don't want people to get help. Believe me, I lived in drug and alcohol addiction. Now, the doc left, but he mentioned the 71% success rate at this facility. He and I both know the truth. Of that 71% that stays for the 28-day program, 90% of those go straight to their drug dealer when they leave. That is addiction. It is a horrible monster.
Well, we're not here to discuss, yeah.
That's hearsay.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is
We're here
about-
to make a
this
decision
company is
tonight.
about billing. They are not the one that are helping. There are those that help. This is a billing company. I'm sorry, I know you don't get it. You had to be there, you had to see it to get it.
Okay, board, are we ready to vote? Or you had,
No, I'm
I have a
ready to
question
vote.
for staff. Okay, I went back and looked at the original package, and there was a staff report in there. And the staff report recommended that we vote against affirming this. The next staff report came out that we have for tonight, and it contains absolutely no opinion. And I can't ask our person because he's not here, so why? Why did it change? Did it change?
I'm going to speak on that. Not to throw Renee underneath the bus, but she spoke to someone brand new. She didn't speak to the mayor. And from the time that this administration has been involved, it has always been our foresight to help establish and go through the right process to get this validated. One of the things I want to bring to your attention again, how important it is for us to make sure we make the right decision, because this also could be a test that downtown is looking at us as we're trying to get our full control over the BZA in the city of Lawrence. There's always an opportunity to repeal this, and it'll go downtown, and they will make the final decision. And so hopefully we show how strong we are so that we can make the decision that affects Lawrence and not have Indianapolis involved in the Lawrence decisions. So that was a misunderstanding, because this administration has been fully behind the treatment center.
So the original report is misunderstanding?
Yes, Renee spoke with our new chief of staff, and he did not and was not familiar with this. And then I asked that we bring it to the BZA as a full hearing. Did I not, Renee?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Because I think both parties should have the opportunity to present their case to you so that you can make the right decision and comfortable with your decision that you made. I hope I answered your question. Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, any other questions, any other concerns? Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
The board will be voting on 24 LAP 08 8935 East 46th Street, partial 4003610, City of Lawrence, LCD number 2, Zone D3. Chosen Lawrence Manor LLC, doing business as Hickory Treatments Lawrence, is requesting affirmation of administrative determination that a specially type substance use disorder residential addiction treatment facility is similar to a nursing home.
Thank you.
We have 3 votes in favor, 2 votes to deny, so the motion passed, or the administrative approval passes.
Thank you very much for your time and attention. If you want to keep this, you're welcome to. If you don't, I will recycle them on your behalf. Thank you very much.
We will hear new business, 24 LSV 10, 10345 Macy Court, parcel 4042767, City of Lawrence, LCD number 4, Zone I3. BGP Development LTD is requesting a variance of development standard of Chapter 744, Article 4, Section 4, D6.4 to allow a compacted irrigated base as permanent surface, not permitted. Hello.
I didn't do my whole raise my hand thing because I didn't know if I'd have
Okay,
to talk.
I will give you the oath.
Okay.
If you have, okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Answer, I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. State your name, address, and present your
I've
case.
never done, my name is Chris Sears. I am at 10443 East 56th Street. And we're here for a variance for a property that BGP is going to be building to do, leave the millings and the current stuff that's there instead of putting asphalt in.
You talking Poindexter?
I get, yes.
Yes, it is Poindexter.
Okay.
Yeah. With Poindexter Excavating BGP property, or LTD.
So you're building another facility, or? is that-
BGP Properties is building a facility on Poindexter Drive off Macy Court, yes.
And you're going to do what?
There are currently millings, and I filled out the variance information, which gives you all the benefits and what we want to do with that. But we want to, right now it's an aggregate base, we want to leave that instead of putting asphalt. There is a landscaping company that will be going in there, and it'll be beneficial to have that aggregate there because it will help with the flow, no puddling. And it's been there for years, and so really, it's just an environmental thing. It would be better to just keep the aggregate base than to dig it all up and put
Okay.
asphalt down.
Can we take a step back? What is this facility? What's its business?
I just said that. It's a landscaping company is going to be renting that property.
Okay, and so you're talking about having millings?
This is already a prior existing land. Yeah, it's got millings, compacted millings that are already there.
What are
which is
millings?
Aggregate.
Okay. And what is that aggregate used for?
Nothing, for the,
It's recycled asphalt, ma'am.
Okay, recycled asphalt.
Yes, so it's millings, so when we go in and we remove pavement, those are called millings.
Okay.
They recycle them and put them back down.
so it's.
I'm gonna help Chris out a little bit
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, 'cause
So
I'm
there's
still-
it's already a parking lot.
Yes.
They are going to be building a building, and they want to leave the part where they're gonna be parking their trucks as aggregate, so as milling, stone, to help with tracking of the dirt, drainage, and those kind of things. They'll have a paved parking area for their employees and visitors. This is just gonna be in an area where they're storing their equipment, is what they're asking for
Thank you,
permission.
yes.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate it, because I'm still, I do a lot of things at Poindexter, talking about aggregate is not one of them.
Does the board have any questions at this time?
Not any longer.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait, I do.
Okay.
Does anybody say you have to put asphalt?
Yes, the
Yes, it
zoning
is a
code
part-
requires it.
Yes.
The
Which is why we're
code,
here asking for the variance.
okay.
Zoning requires a permanent surface, which would be asphalt, concrete, and the trend is leaning more towards allowing millings or gravel,
More
For-
porous,
less impervious area.
yes,
Impervious, good word.
yes.
Thank you. I'm
This
using my
late at
big
night,
girl.
she's got big words. This is good.
So that's the plan.
We're not near a well field with this, right?
No, sir, this is a completely industrial area. It's, as you're driving down 56th Street and you've gone over Pendleton Pike, it's on the right by Best Equipment. And then Macy Court is
Goes
an
back that way.
industrial drive.
Yes,
That
right
goes
after
all the
that.
way through to 52nd Street for the buses. So a lot of the transportation goes through that way.
Yes.
So it's all industrial, no neighborhood around it that would be affected.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. We'll hear from any remonstrators for or against the petition.
So
Neither
I don't think there's
counselor?
anybody in there.
I'll go in my time.
No.
You have to come up, Liz.
We have to have you on record, Liz.
Liz Mazur, 6203 Carrington Drive, Indianapolis. It makes sense to continue having this surface that's more porous. It'll be better for rain runoff, and instead of having the hard surface of the asphalt if it's not necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for or against the petition? We'll hear from the city of Lawrence, please.
The city of Lawrence is in favor of this petition. We recently, just a few meetings ago, approved another landscaping company to have aggregate as their parking lot. And so there's been a precedent set. And like I said previously, this is already a gravel lot with millings. And just the area where they're parking their equipment is going to be kept that. The rest of it will be asphalted where the customers or employees are going to be parking. So we don't have to worry about them getting muddy or dirty or whatever.
And it is not, they don't have a lot of customers coming in and out. This is mainly employees. They have a lot of their equipment coming in and out, so.
Okay. Any questions for the city? Anything else to add, ma'am?
No.
Okay, the board now will be voting on 24 LSV 10. City of Lawrence, LCD number 4, zoned I3. BGP Development LTD is requesting a variance of development standard of Chapter 744, Article 4, Section 4, D 6.4 to allow compacted irrigated base as permanent surface not permitted.
It's unanimously approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We approve
back and ask for a raise.
permeable.
I will definitely go talk to Billy about it.
Thanks, Chris.
We'll hear, our next new business is 25-LUV-02, 6621 Olvie Street, parcel 4002296, City of Lawrence, LCD number 5, Zone D5. April Brake has requested a variance of use of Table 743-1 to allow medical office midwifery consultant in a D5 district, minimum of a C1 required.
Hi, I'm April Brake, 2379 West, 700 North, McCordsville, Indiana, 46055, and just became the new owner of 6621 Olvie Street. I am here to ask for a variance for a small midwifery practice. I've been practicing for 10 years, and our practice sees women and children like newborns, and their desire is to birth at home. And I'm licensed as a midwife to provide those services. And so when they come and see me, we have an office, and they come and they are scheduled for an hour, and we just talk. We have discussions. We talk about just a normal prenatal, and then after we go to them, to their home, and have some visits during prenatal and then postpartum after they have their baby at home. And then they come back to the office for up to 6 weeks for the postpartum for the mom, and up to 6 weeks for the newborn. We wanted to look at a home setting for offices because of the fact that they're choosing home birth for a cozy environment. They don't want to go to a hospital to birth their children, and so they want something more cozy. And so typically offices are more sterile and a home environment is more relaxing. We want to keep the home looking like a residential home. It does have a back entrance on Pendleton Pike, and so we're wanting to use that entrance to the back of the house and have parking in the back of the house. So nobody's going to be coming and going off of Olvie Street. It will be strictly through the Pendleton Pike exit, or like entrance and exit. So we hope to we're changing some things in the home to aesthetically make the home, better and more curb appeal. There are a lot of trees that are needing to come down just so that the curb appeal is better. Yeah.
So where are you, right now you're currently in your home in McCordsville?
I am currently in an office in Fortville.
Okay.
I've been in Fortville for the last 8 years. Before then, I did home visits. I actually strictly just went to their homes, and as my business got bigger, we are a very small practice. We see about 50 to 60 people a year. That's about 6 clients a month. Through the year. So only 6 people are actually delivering babies at home. And you're gonna come and go with those months, of course. Like, we'll have a busy month and we won't have a very busy month. So as far as prenatals go, we schedule, like, if they're very beginning, you schedule an hour for their prenatal. So there's not a lot of traffic. We see people on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And our office hours are usually 9 to 4:30. Now, that will definitely vary because if somebody has a baby on Tuesday, we got to reschedule and have them come on Wednesday or a Friday. Our goal is never to work on the weekends because we're typically delivering babies on the weekends. We try to just keep our office days on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there's not a lot of people coming at once to that location. So it's not going to be a lot of foot traffic for sure. As far as my location currently, we have really bad parking. And when you're talking about moms and babies, pregnant women coming in, having this type of location and parking is so much more sustainable for our ladies and our children coming in, our moms and babies. So, and typically our moms and babies just don't come pregnant, they come pregnant with their 3 children, to come in with them. And I feel like a lot of our families choose midwifery care because, one, they don't have family in their community to watch their kids. And so it's easier to stay home, have babies, or be able to go to your midwife and be able to have a cozy environment to take your kids and they can play in the same room as they're getting their prenatal done. So yeah.
How many, is it just you or?
So I have another midwife and 2 other nurses, and we're all part-time. So we do not work a full-time. So, yep. And we're not there all at one time. 3 people are usually there at the office, 1 nurse and 2 midwives.
So April, pardon my ignorance here. So what's the difference between a doula and a midwife? Do they work or help each other? Or?
So a doula is someone, that is more just physical support. So they come and support the women that are giving birth. So emotionally and physically. And a midwife, we care for them through preconception all the way up to postpartum, 6 weeks postpartum, and we also care for the newborn up to 6 weeks. As far as what we do, each prenatal is a risk assessment, right? So we're having conversations, we're getting to know our clients. It's a little bit different, it's a lot of different than OB care versus midwifery care. We're having more trusted relationship. Obviously, we don't have that client load like an OB does, and we get to know our clients on a more familiar basis and build trust with our
So is the
care.
training similar to an OBGYN? I ask because my daughter-in-law is a doula.
You're good.
I can find out more what she does.
So we practice the art of midwifery. So we don't practice medicine when it comes to that. So we don't have prescriptive authority, but we do have training. So we go to college and we get we precept under midwives and we get licensed. Yeah, and then we can practice midwifery. But I currently am only licensed in the state of Indiana to provide home birth services. So women are not birthing in Olvie Street, they're birthing in their own home. And I can't practice in a hospital setting or in a birth center. So, yeah.
Be clear, I wasn't trying to find work for my daughter-in-law.
That's okay, yeah. That's good. Doulas are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Anybody here for or against the petition?
Good evening. I'm Christine Griswold. I live at 8202 Kent Allen Court in Indianapolis. And I am a registered nurse that I've worked in the home care setting for about 10 years. And I've also been a patient many times in the medical field because I've had a chronic illness to manage. Throughout my pregnancies, I've always chosen to work with the certified direct entry midwives for my prenatal care, for my pregnancies and my births and the infant care because of the generous time, education, relationship building, and the holistic health benefits of working in that sort of clinical practice and home care services that they provide. I recently became a client of Serene Midwifery this past year with the pregnancy and birth of my 4th child. During the emotionally and physically vulnerable stages of pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, the quiet, secure, family-friendly environment that Serene Midwifery creates in their office setting is extremely valuable to women and children. They continue to bring that environment into the client's home at the time of birth and care for the whole family. As a client, having the provider's office in a home environment versus a professional office lowers stress and anxiety. It fosters connection and learning. Safety and accessibility in parking is also a key benefit to pregnant women and the young children that they often have in tow. The desired location that April is looking to move her business toward would be perfect for the business to flourish and will also provide an appealing visible asset along Pendleton Pike and to the surrounding neighbors' homes. As a medical professional, I can testify that what Serene Midwifery brings to the community is expert multidisciplinary care. They empower women to understand their bodies and to care for themselves and their children through accepting, supportive relationships and holistic care physically, emotionally, and spiritually. They will provide a huge service to this community with a small footprint. This community is diverse and it attracts growing families, and I think Serene Midwifery would be a huge benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for or against the petition?
I'm Megan Short, 1387 West Limestone Way, Fortville, Indiana. I am a registered nurse. I'm currently working in the NICU at Community North, where I have been for 10 years. I personally have chosen Serene Midwifery for the prenatal, birth, and postpartum care of my 3 children. Because of the holistic education, guidance, and support that they provide during this time. Serene Midwifery is a small run business that serves local families. For many women, pregnancy is not a state of sickness, and for the low-risk mama, midwifery care provides many benefits. Serene's goal is to come alongside these women to educate, assess, counsel, assist, and provide primary care for these women and babies. So in this location, I believe that Serene Midwifery would greatly benefit the health and the well-being of the city of Lawrence and the surrounding area. This location is a great spot that's central to many of their clients and easily accessible for their routine prenatal and postpartum appointments. They would provide this community with a huge service to the growing families, just in a great convenient location.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julia Ramos, 8749 Appleby Lane, Indianapolis, 46256. I won't totally be repetitive, but I echo a lot of what the last 2 ladies have said. I also have received care for my previous pregnancy from Serene Midwifery, and just kind of coming from a perspective of someone who grew up in Lawrence, went to Lawrence Township schools, and have settled in my own home in Lawrence, just how excited I am at the possibility of the location of the business moving from Fortville to Lawrence. I think it's going to be a huge asset, and I'm just looking forward to that hopefully coming to pass, and know that a lot of other families will benefit from that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to pose a question, if I might.
Sure. State your name and address for the record for me.
Yes, I'm Michael DeBurger, 12070 Broadway Street, just around the corner from you folks. Welcome to the neighborhood. My question is concerning this variance is it specifically for midwifery, or we talk about future use, you know, when you're looking at zoning and that sort of thing? What does this open the neighborhood to, would be my question and my concern.
We can limit the variance to this house?
To this specific business.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if she would move or sell, then it goes away.
Yeah, I think we'd be happy to have you, but, you know, we don't want to leave this an open-ended sort of
That's what you're looking
clinic,
at.
you
That's
know?
what you're, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That would
another
be my
business
concern.
couldn't go in,
Yeah.
correct?
That's right. Thank
We
you very
can't
much.
limit it to just this business.
To do that, do we just make a motion?
A commitment.
Yeah, it's a commitment.
But we will need a motion that we include that as a commitment, a second, a vote, and then we'd vote on the petition.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Anybody else for or against the petition?
Hi, my name is Angel Marshall. I live at 10091 Oak Haven Drive, McCordsville. Oh, what's happening? Well, I'm just going to keep this short. So I'm a longtime client of Serene Midwifery for 9 years. I just actually went through it with pregnancy, birth, and postpartum with my fifth. I was 20 when I first found Serene Midwifery. I was a young first-time mom looking for pregnancy care and a team who would deliver our first baby with the support and care we were searching for. Since our firstborn was delivered, I've always chosen to work with April and Kayla for maternity care because the education and personal relationships that they provide with their home services. Serene Midwifery has empowered not only me but other women to understand our bodies and how to care for ourselves and our children. So, as a client, having this function or this practice in a homey environment versus professional office, number one, lowers the stress for me as having multiples and not having family around. So this home birth and just being somewhere where I can go with my family helps relieve stress. And it's, having a quiet, secure, family-friendly environment that is extremely valuable for me. Also, parking is a priority. I always look for parking spots, close, and safety for my kids because they're always in tow. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other people for or against? Okay, we'll hear from the City of Lawrence.
The City of Lawrence is in favor of this petition. It's a good use for the property. There's multiple properties in this area that are mixed use with small businesses and residential. The intent is to keep it appearing residential. The limited hours for use, I think, this is a good fit for that mixed use neighborhood that is zoned for that area. I do like the idea of making it specific to this business, and that way the board gets to hear any future uses before it's used, would be our recommendation.
Does the petitioner have any objection to doing
No,
them?
we had
They did?
talked about that
Okay, great.
previously.
Okay.
So you need a motion?
The mayor would like to say something? Yes.
Sorry. I saw the finger, I wasn't sure.
I felt like I was in church. I just want to acknowledge the neighborhood, showing how we can come together with the neighbors and a facility. That means a lot because they asked, they wanted it, but they wanted to make sure it would be limited and keep, the business and things. So I want to applaud the neighbors for at least coming, speaking, and showing how they're willing to work with a future business in the city. I hope we see more of that in Lawrence. Thank you.
Thank you. Petitioner, you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Demonstrators? Then the board's ready to vote on 25
We need a motion
Yeah, we need a
first.
motion.
Oh.
I'll make a motion that we restrict
I'll
it
second.
to this one use.
I'm sorry. who said-
Midwifery? Midwifery?
Yeah.
Well, either one.
You're good. People say it either way, but midwifery, yes.
Okay. So the board will be voting with limiting it to
This petitioner only.
this petitioner only. It's 25 LUV02, 6621 Olvie Street, partial 4002296, City of Lawrence, LCD number 5, Zone D5. April Brake has requested a variance of use of Table 743-1 to allow a medical office, midwifery, consultant in a D5 district.
It's unanimous, you're approved.
At this time, the Lawrence Board of Zoning Appeals is adjourned.
And